Good morning, guys. HM1 Tadzek again here. Today's class is going to be on the Navy-wide advancement exam. It's just study strategies that I've used over the years, and hopefully it will help you out. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke at you and say that I study all the time and I do great. A lot of times my performance is mediocre if I don't brush up, and even if I do brush up, it's that last minute week-long cram where I'm trying to pull it through. However, if you go and look at my profile sheet history historically, anytime I've ever advanced, it's because I've actually, no crap, put in the time and effort to do it. And there's a methodology, excuse me, there's a method to how I actually do it, and it's paid off. So hopefully this will pay off for you guys. So what's needed? I recommend getting your last three profile sheets, copy of the most recent bib topics and references, and get a bunch of highlighters, okay? So why is it important to get your profile sheet? Well, I say look at your last three profile sheets because you can go and look at how you scored, and it's going to break down the number of questions, how many you got right. This is important because you can look at where your biggest deficit is going to be. And sometimes um, it's also where the majority of the question bank come from. So like if you look at topic number one, healthcare, admin and programs management, okay, that's a huge topic bank on this profile sheet. So if you're scoring low in there, you're missing out on a lot of points, okay? Flip side, maybe you're scoring really high in that, but you're missing points in some of these other subjects where it's like 10 and 12, and you're just like bombing those ones. Regardless, you're going to be able to look at it, and you're going to have to look at where your biggest room for improvement is. Narrow down the top three areas where you can improve, okay? And that's basically where you should be trying to focus. Now, if you look at your profile sheet and it has the topic, okay, it's got healthcare, admin, and programs management, preventive medicine, and programs admin, medical supply and logistics management, clinical support services, healthcare and treatment. Obviously, this is outdated because it's a PMK on here, but you get what I'm saying. Now, when you look at your bib, look, lo and behold, topics, right? Clinical support services, healthcare, admin, program management. Okay, I know when I was a junior studier, when I looked at this, I just thought this was the most irrelevant thing. I'm like, yeah, okay, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you're obviously giving us the stuff that we need to study, but yeah, this doesn't change at all, and it's always the same. It's true, okay, that for the most part, like, this pretty much stays the same all across the board, but you see how that actually relates to the profile sheet and where you score in it, because these are no crap the same topics. So what you really need to delve down to a little bit more is the subtopics. Okay, you look at the subtopics and you get prepared to cross-reference the subtopics into the occupational references. Okay, this is really important because this is the part of your test that always changes. Okay, it always changes, and it's one of those things where you don't need to just slay yourself on knowing everything on the topic subtopics. You can narrow down what you need to study based off the occupational references. Here's the thing about our rate, right? There's a lot of references and instructions to get to know. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything or that you should know everything. If you should strive to know everything, but more importantly, you should strive to know where to find the information. Okay, if you know where to find the information, that's going to be key. And bottom line, regardless of whatever I go in the rest of this topic, you really should know the manuals, the instructions, and any other occupational reference, its nomenclature, and what it's used for. That's like hands down the easiest one you can do to get yourself not only points on the exam, but just know where to find the information for when it comes across in your daily work life. Because in reality, unless you are actually doing one of these jobs day in and day out, you're not going to get to know them like the back of your hand. As you go through your career, that's going to change. You're going to start to get to know a lot of this stuff, and some of it you're going to have to go back and brush up on. Like after you leave division, the beauty of division is you're going to get really good with field healthcare, right? You're going to learn preventive medicine, you're going to learn CBRN, you're going to learn all sorts of stuff like that. That's going to really benefit you for the rest of your career because you're going to look back and you're going to have like a baseline board knowledge of that, and you're just going to have to quickly refresh on it just to make sure you're good and current on whatever's being taught. So let's get into my method that I'm trying to pass on to you. So recap, okay? So you've looked at your profile sheet. You've identified, okay, these are the top 3 areas for improvement that I can have the biggest gains in for advancement and potentially score more points. So you've got those laid out. You've got your topics and subtopics in front of you, and you got your occupational references laid out in front of you. First thing you're going to do, that number one area of improvement that you can get the biggest bang for the buck, you're going to pick a color and you're going to highlight whatever it is on that based off that profile sheet. The example here we're talking about, I highlighted healthcare admin programs management and then went in and highlighted the subtopics. Okay, so now that I did that, now it's time to start cross-referencing what subtopics are applicable to your occupational references. And this is what I mean by you've kind of got to know what these references are and what they're meant for, and use that to determine, okay, where is this applicable in my study process here. So then you're going to go in, highlight the applicable references to that specific topic and subtopic area. And then you're going to build that, okay? So then you'll have that set aside. Don't worry about delving into it right now. Next, you're going to pick up that next highlighter, okay, where your next area of improvement is going to be. In this case, it's healthcare and treatment. Then you're going to go in and list the subtopics, okay? And same thing, you're going in and then you're going to go into highlight the occupational references in the same manner you did that first time. So you're breaking down the occupational reference sheet, and you're going to rinse and repeat this until you've pretty much color coded your whole sheet, and you've prioritized it from the most important topic to where you can really improve and probably see some gains in your advancement exam to the areas where you're already doing good, but you really don't need to focus on that. Maybe that's the area that you just refresh on. You should still go through and highlight that just so you have everything broken apart. Now, the other thing that you need to look at is sometimes there's overlap. So, good point here is the Corman manual, right? Uh, it can go into multiple topics and subtopics. What you're going to have to do, and that's the beauty of the subtopics, is look at it and see, okay, which chapters can I just focus on in the Corman manual? Because you don't need to sit there and refresh the entire Corman manual. All right, you don't need to do that. Same thing with anatomy and physiology. Okay, so it's one of those things like, yeah, you could study all of it, but in reality, you're gonna just have to kind of rely on what is really common. And a lot of times when you look at these manuals or the instructions, when you're looking at the information, it's either in bold, it's underlined, they put it in a separate table within whatever instruction it is because they want you to pay closer attention to it. So those are the things that you should really kind of be focusing on, because it's easy to get lost in the technical jargon of our documents, and you just kind of start zoning out when you study. So you got to kind of come up with this strategy where you're picking it apart piece by piece by piece, and then you go in. And the other thing I do is I kick it old school and I make flashcards, like handwritten flashcards, and I'll go through each highlighted area and I'll create just its own set of flashcards. So once I have it set, I can just go in and study it and just boom, 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 study it and study it, study it. No crap, like on my last exam before this most recent cycle, I got I think it was like a 39.8 on my test. Okay. full disclosure, it was not a priority for me to study. I was trying to pass some chemistry classes I was taking and had some personal stuff going on in life, and I just didn't do a good job of buckling down myself and studying. It's on me. But there's no excuses, right? I mean, the exams are tough, and sometimes when you don't brush up on them, it can throw you for a loop. I luckily fell on all the knowledge that I could just pull out of my hat and do decent on the test and not fail, right? Well, this last time I applied the same method that I was just talking about, and I scored a 70. So, and I didn't even do it for probably, I'd say maybe like 2, 3 weeks out, if that. I didn't give myself a lot of time. Had I given myself even more time, like I would have gotten an even better score. But you also have to be realistic with who you are as a person and how that's gonna play into how your study is gonna actually play out. Like I'm somebody who I can't study 6 months out, but maybe you are. I like to do it a little bit closer to the test because it's more fresh in my head. But at the same time, it's a fine balance of not procrastinating and trying to cram in that session. So, um, hopefully, this was helpful. It's just a tip, it's not a mandatory thing, it's not the end all be all. If you've got something better that's out there, please share it with each other. I'm just trying to share with you all what's worked for me and keep it a little bit real in regards to the approach to this. So there's points on the table for you all, and that's the only way you all are going to get more money in your bank account. So please pay the investment into yourself, okay? Because at the end of the day, the Navy is going to keep you at wherever they want to keep you and keep paying whatever they want to keep paying you, unless you really want to take the time and push yourself further, okay? And that's coming from someone who has done that multiple times throughout their career. So it pays dividends to actually take this test seriously and do whatever you got to do to pass it. So if you've got questions, comments, feel free to hit me up and we can talk about this more when I get back. All right, guys, good luck.